Okay, so finally for part 3 of this series, the review series, I'm going to go ahead and do numbers 11 through 14. And this is basically all about ordering real numbers. Very, very simple skill. You're essentially just going to simplify everything to decimal format and then answer the question based on that. So how would that look? For number 11, I have the square root of 8 plus 3, or radical 8 plus 3, being compared to 8 plus radical 3. Well, if I'm going to do that, I simply need to convert both sides to decimal form as I just stated. How do you do that? For the left side, you're simply going to calculate, well, what is the square root of 8? To do that, you're going to do 8 radical, and you get 2.8284271. But before you do anything else, you're simply going to add 3 to it in the calculator. So just press plus 3 and equals, and you get a long decimal 5.8284, etc., 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 and it continues on. That is going to be compared to 8 plus radical 3. Now, if you use your number sense, you should already know that this is going to be greater than, because if this is 5.8 continuing, and this is starting with 8 and adding radical 3, you already know the answer. But for the purpose of making sure we all have the same procedure, to convert this to a decimal, you're going to take 8, so 8 plus, to get the square root of 3, you do 3 radical. To make sure you add them together, you need to press equals, because right now in your calculator you should see 1.7320508. But to make sure that you add that 8 in, you have to press equals to tell the calculator to finish it, and you end up getting 9.732, and continue on. Because the point is, you can tell that the right side is greater than the left side, and since the alligator mouth is always going to eat the larger quantity, you're going to have the alligator mouth open to the right. So this should say overall that the square root of 8 plus 3 is less than 8 plus the square root of 3. Number 12 is exactly the same skill. So now you should be able to do that one. 5 radical, and you get 2.2360679. Add your 11, and now you end up with 13.236, and continue on. And usually by the second or third decimal place, that's pretty good for the purpose of comparison. And on the right hand side, you're going to do 5 plus radical 11, so 11 square root. Don't forget to press the equal sign. You get 8.3166, and continue on. And it's very easy to compare. Now you know that since the left side decimal form is greater than the right side decimal form, the original side, the original left side, is greater than the original right side. And now, ordering numbers from least to greatest essentially is the same skill. So if I have the square root of 99, pi to the second power, and 9.8 continuing, and I wanted to put them in order from least to greatest, I can't do it as it is because I'm comparing different formats or forms of the number. But all of these numbers can be turned into decimal form. So that's exactly what we should do. So if I take the square root of 99, I get 9.949. And continuing on. Pi, as we said, is going to be an irrational, but for our purposes, let's use 3.14. And since it's squared, it should be 3.14 times 3.14. And actually, you just go ahead and do that calculation. So 3.14 times 3.14. And you get 9.8596. And then obviously 9.8 continuing would be 9.8. And because the 8 is continuing, I'm just going out to 3 decimal places just to confirm, just in case I have to make a comparison. So now my question is, what order would these decimals go? Well, we're doing from least to greatest. So I need to first find my least one. My least is 9.8596, so that would be 1. Second would be 9.888, so that would be 2. And then third would be 9.949. And so my question is, what are my corresponding original numbers? And so since 9.8596 is the result of squaring pi, then you would write pi square first. So pi square is the least. What was second? 9.888. So 9.8 would go second, 9.8 continuing. And then finally, since the square root of 99 resulted in the largest decimal, it would be the greatest value. So square root of 99. And so it really is that simple. All we did was convert all of them to decimals, order them from least to greatest because that's what they asked for, and then put the original form back in the same order as the numbers that they asked for. Finally, for number 14, it's the same exact process, but this time there's a radical of a fraction. Doesn't change our process at all though. The square root of 1 over 25 is going to very simply be the square root of 1 over the square root of 25, and this is really just combining skills, which ends up being 1 over 5. And we know that that is 1 divided by 5. If you put in your calculator, the numerator goes first. So 1 divided by 5 gives you 0.2. So we now know that the decimal form of the square root of 1 over 25 is 0.2. 1/4 in the same way, 1 divided by 4. And we should know that that's going to give you 0.25 because it's 25%, 4 quarters in a dollar, so 0.25. And then 0.2 repeating will be 0.2, and you're going to add some extra 2's just to confirm that it's repeating. So now that you have that, you can put them in order. What is the least number? Well, 0.2, since we have 2 decimals for the other ones, or at least 2 decimals, let's call this 0.20. And now it's pretty easy to see that it's actually the smallest, so that should get a 1. After 0.20, then you should have 0.222, so that would be 2. And then our largest value will be 3. So now what are my corresponding original values? 0.2 came from this radical 1 over 25. 0.25 came from 1/4, so that should be a 3. And 0.2 continuing came from 0.2 continuing, so that should be 2. And now we're just going to write them in that order. So the first one should be radical 1 over 25. The second one should be 0.2 continuing. And the largest value should be 1 over 4. So that's it. I hope you take the opportunity to go back over this and go through the entire video again and do the problems ahead of time and make sure that you can do every single problem from beginning to end. If you have any questions, comments, concerns, you can always reach out to me and work well.